My name is Commander Jake Reynolds, and I've spent the last 15 years of my life fighting wars for the Galactic Council. Won every single one of them too, which apparently was my first mistake. The second mistake was being human, but I'll get to that in a minute. Picture this. I'm sitting in the most ridiculous excuse for a government building you've ever seen. The Galactic Council chambers look like someone threw a disco ball into a cathedral and called it architecture. Floating platforms everywhere, holographic displays blinking like Christmas lights, and alien delegates who sound like they're permanently stuck in a bad karaoke night. Council Chairman Thorpe, who looks like a purple elephant had a baby with a filing cabinet, clears his throat like appendage and makes the announcement that will haunt my nightmares forever. The Council has reached a unanimous decision regarding human military participation. He rumbles, his voice echoing through 17 different translation matrices. Effective immediately, all human personnel are hereby removed from active combat operations under the newly established Pacification Protocol. I'm sorry, what now? Excuse me, I say, standing up from my designated human seating area, which is basically a folding chair in the corner. Did you just say we're being kicked out of our own military? Councillor Yip, a being that resembles a disappointed jellyfish, wobbles forward. Commander Reynolds, the statistics are quite clear. In the past decade, human-led operations have achieved a 97% success rate with an average conflict duration of 2.3 standard galactic weeks. And that's bad. Bad? It's terrifying, squeaks Delegate Fryn, who looks like someone crossed a hamster with anxiety medication. Your species approaches warfare with such efficiency that it disrupts the natural order of galactic conflict resolution. I stare at them. Actually stare. The natural order of what? Chairman Thorpe shuffles his papers, which is impressive considering he doesn't have hands. Traditionally, galactic conflicts follow established patterns. Initial posturing, 3 to 4 years of diplomatic negotiations, followed by limited engagement protocols, and eventual resolution through attrition or resource depletion. You mean you like your wars long and pointless? We prefer them thorough and methodical. Yip corrects. Your species has an alarming tendency to identify enemy weaknesses, exploit them immediately, and achieve decisive victory before proper diplomatic channels can be exhausted. The bureaucratic nonsense that follows is legendary. Forms to fill out for my removal from active duty. Forms to request permission to fill out those forms. A 17-page document explaining why I need to understand why I'm no longer allowed to do the job I've been doing perfectly for over a decade. The best part? They're replacing the entire human military contingent with what they call a diversified peacekeeping task force. Translation: a committee of aliens who've never seen actual combat but have very strong opinions about conflict theory. This is insane, I tell them, as I'm being escorted out by security guards who look like they were rejected from a children's television show audition. This is progress, Chairman Thorpe calls after me. The galaxy will be much safer with a more measured approach to warfare. Famous last words. 3 weeks later, I'm stuck in what they generously call an advisory capacity, which means I get to watch the galaxy's newest military disaster unfold from a comfortable chair with a really good view of the command center, and meet the replacement team. General Vex is a Aviaran, which means he looks like someone stuck a military uniform on a very nervous ostrich. His entire species evolved from prey animals, which explains why his first response to any tactical situation is to ask if we've considered running away. Before we begin today's strategic session, Vex announces, fluffing his feathers nervously, I want everyone to know that I've prepared 17 different evacuation routes from this facility. General, I say from my corner, we're discussing theoretical scenarios. There's no immediate danger. That's exactly what someone would say right before the immediate danger arrives, Vex replies, checking his emergency beacon for the 4th time in 10 minutes. Captain Gloop is a molluscan, basically a giant slug with delusions of military grandeur. Everything about Gloop is slow, his movement, his speech, his thought processes, and definitely his understanding of why timing matters in warfare. I have been analyzing the enemy patrol patterns, Gloop announces, taking roughly 30 seconds to pronounce each word. Based on my calculations, we should attack in approximately, let me see, carry the 2, divide by the orbital rotation coefficient, next Tuesday. Next Tuesday? Lieutenant Buzz, the insectoid member of this comedy troupe, practically vibrates with anxiety. But what if the enemy changes their patrol patterns between now and then? What if Tuesday is actually the worst possible day to attack? What if they're expecting us to attack on Tuesday because we've been planning to attack on Tuesday? Buzz belongs to a species that overthinks everything. And I mean everything. I once watched him spend 45 minutes analyzing the strategic implications of which chair to sit in during a briefing. Perhaps General Vex suggests helpfully we should postpone the theoretical attack until we can establish a safer theoretical timeline. This is their first strategic planning session. I'm watching 3 military officers spend 2 hours debating whether a hypothetical enemy base should be approached from the north or south. Except they can't agree on which direction is north because they haven't decided which planet we're theoretically attacking. Gentlemen, I finally interrupt. Might I suggest that we pick a target before we plan how to attack it? Commander Reynolds, Vex says sternly, you are here in an advisory capacity only. The Pacification Protocol clearly states that humans are not permitted to participate in strategic planning. I'm not participating. I'm just pointing out that you've been arguing about compass directions for an hour without establishing a location. That's tactical input. Buzz buzzes anxiously. Tactical input is considered participation, according to subsection 47 of the Protocol amendments. Subsection 47 was amended last week. Gloop adds slowly. Now it's subsection 48.7. Are you sure? Buzz asks. Because I thought subsection 48.7 was about lunch break protocols. That's subsection 48.6, Vex corrects. Point 7 is about unauthorized strategic observations by restricted personnel. They spend the next 30 minutes looking up the correct subsection number. I'm beginning to understand why galactic conflicts traditionally last for years. The universe has a sense of humor, and it's terrible. Just as our new elite strike force is settling into their routine of productive confusion, intelligence reports start coming in about something called the Krolex Empire. And by intelligence reports, I mean panic transmissions from outer rim colonies that basically amount to help. We're being invaded by something we can't pronounce. The Krolex, as it turns out, are everything the Council thought they wanted in an enemy. They're methodical. They follow established conquest patterns, and they give plenty of advance warning before destroying entire star systems. It's like they read the Galactic Warfare Ethics Manual and decided to follow it to the letter. The problem is, they're also really good at it. The initial contact was quite civilized, reports Councillor Yip during the emergency session. The Krolex transmitted their invasion schedules 6 months in advance, complete with estimated casualty projections and resource extraction timelines. How thoughtful of them, I mutter from my designated observation corner. The situation is well within manageable parameters, Chairman Thorpe declares confidently. General Vex, what's your assessment? General Vex, who's been molting stress feathers for the past week, shuffles through his notes. Based on our preliminary analysis, the Krolex are operating according to standard conquest protocols. However, I recommend we observe their methods for at least 18 months before formulating a response strategy. 18 months? I can't help myself. They'll have conquered half the outer rim by then. Commander Reynolds. Vex replies stiffly. The Pacification Protocol specifically prohibits humans from offering strategic timelines. I'm not offering a timeline. I'm offering basic math. The first encounter with Krolex scouts happens exactly as you'd expect. General Vex orders a cautious observation mission, which translates to sending 3 ships to watch the enemy from a safe distance of approximately half a solar system. Captain Gloop volunteers to lead the mission, which means it takes him 4 hours to reach the rendezvous point because he keeps stopping to reassess optimal velocity parameters. Lieutenant Buzz spends the entire approach calculating the probability of various disaster scenarios until he works himself into such an anxious state that his ship's computer starts recommending sedatives. The Krolex scouts, meanwhile, detect the approaching ships immediately, identify them as hostile, and methodically destroy 2 of them before Buzz can finish running his probability calculations. Mission status? Chairman Thorpe asks when the surviving ship returns. Inconclusive, Vex reports. We need more data before we can determine if the enemy is actually hostile. They shot down 2 of our ships. That could have been a misunderstanding. Perhaps they were trying to communicate using kinetic energy. I stand up. Permission to speak freely. Denied. The entire council says in unison. They're going to destroy the outer colonies while you debate communication protocols. The outer colonies are acceptable losses during the intelligence gathering phase, Councillor Yip explains patiently. The Krolex expansion follows predictable patterns. We have plenty of time to formulate an appropriate response. You had plenty of time. You spent it arguing about paperwork. Commander Reynolds, Chairman Thorpe warns, you are approaching violation of the Pacification Protocol. Continue this line of discussion, and will be forced to restrict your advisory access. And that, folks, is how I learned that pointing out imminent galactic catastrophe counts as aggressive behavior. What follows is a masterclass in how to lose a war before it officially starts. The Krolex, bless their efficient little hearts, continue operating exactly according to schedule. They send out conquest announcements, establish supply lines, and systematically work their way through the outer rim colonies with the precision of accountants doing tax returns. Our response team, meanwhile, discovers new and creative ways to snatch defeat from the jaws of mild confusion. General Vex develops something he calls strategic defensive positioning, which sounds impressive until you realize it means hiding behind progressively larger asteroids. His latest tactical innovation involves retreating to optimal observation distances whenever enemy ships appear on sensors. We're not retreating. Vex explains during a briefing that I'm technically not allowed to attend but somehow keep finding myself at. We're establishing dynamic reconnaissance parameters. Day, you ran away. I observe. We repositioned to gather intelligence on enemy pursuit patterns by running away. By implementing emergency repositioning protocols. Captain Gloop's contribution to the war effort is something called methodical response theory. This involves analyzing enemy actions for approximately 6 weeks before formulating a counter-strategy, then spending another month testing that strategy against computer simulations, followed by a brief period of tactical meditation to ensure they're approaching the problem with the proper mindset. By the time Gloop finishes his analysis, the enemy has usually moved on to conquer 3 more systems. The Krolex attacked the Denebian colonies, Gloop reports during a strategy meeting. I have completed my preliminary assessment. How preliminary? I ask. I've determined that they are, in fact, attacking. The Denebians sent out distress calls 3 weeks ago. I wanted to be thorough. Lieutenant Buzz, meanwhile, has achieved something I didn't think was possible. He's overthought himself into complete paralysis. His ship's computer now has a special subroutine dedicated to calculating the probability of Buzz actually making a decision. I've run the numbers on 17,000 different engagement scenarios. Buzz reports, his antenna twitching with nervous energy. There's a 23.7% chance that any action we take will make the situation worse. What about the 76.3% chance that action might help? I suggest. Yes, suggest. But what if that 23.7% chance is actually higher because I haven't calculated the probability of my calculations being wrong? Buzz, you're calculating the probability of your probability calculations. Exactly. And there's a 15.4% chance that those calculations are also wrong. The Krolex advance through 5 more systems while Buzz calculates the statistical likelihood of his statistics being statistically significant. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in my advisory corner, watching the galaxy burn in slow motion, forbidden from offering any suggestions more tactical than have you considered not losing? The breaking point comes when the Krolex reach the Proxima colonies. These aren't outer rim settlements, these are major population centers with billions of inhabitants. General Vex's response. We need more time to assess the situation. Captain Gloop's contribution. Perhaps we should wait to see what they do next. Lieutenant Buzz. Still calculating probabilities. That's when I realized that if I don't do something, we're going to lose this war not through superior enemy tactics, but through sheer bureaucratic incompetence. Time for some creative interpretation of the Pacification Protocol. The beauty of bureaucracy is that it creates so many rules that nobody can possibly remember them all. Buried somewhere in subsection 127.3.b of the Pacification Protocol amendments is a clause about indirect technical consultation during active operations. I spend 3 days reading through legal documents that were clearly written by committee, probably the same committee that thought our current military leadership was a good idea. Finally, I find my loophole. Emergency consultation protocols may be implemented when direct advisory personnel are unavailable and mission-critical decisions require specialized expertise. Translation: if our expert military team can't figure something out, they're allowed to ask for help. The trick is making sure they ask for help without realizing they're asking a human. Enter my new alter ego, Strategic Analysis Computer, Model SAC 3000. General Vex, I announce over the communications channel during their next disastrous engagement with Krolek's forces. This is SAC 3000. I am an advanced tactical analysis system, and my sensors indicate suboptimal positioning of your fleet. SAC 3000? Vex's feathers ruffle with confusion. I don't remember authorizing computer assistance. Emergency protocols, sir. Subsection 127.3.b. Your current formation leaves your flanks exposed to enemy fire. The computer is right, Captain Gloop adds slowly. My left flank does feel particularly vulnerable. What follows is the most surreal military operation in galactic history. I'm sitting in my corner, speaking into a voice modulator, pretending to be a computer while coaching 3 aliens through basic combat tactics. SAC 3000 recommends moving your ships into a defensive wedge formation, I announce. What's a wedge formation? Buzz asks, his anxiety levels spiking at the mention of something he hasn't calculated yet. Imagine a triangle, but pointy end forward. How pointy? What's the optimal angle for maximum pointiness while maintaining defensive integrity? Buzz, just point your ships at the enemy and spread out a little. SAC 3000, General Vex interrupts. Are you certain this strategy aligns with established peacekeeping protocols? Absolutely, General. This is a classic defensive maneuver designed to minimize casualties while maintaining strategic positioning. It's not entirely a lie. The wedge formation is defensive, in the sense that it helps defend against getting blown up. The Kroleks, who've been systematically demolishing our forces for weeks, suddenly find themselves facing something unexpected: competent tactics executed by incompetent personnel. The enemy ships are moving in a coordinated pattern, reports one of Vex's pilots. They're not running away in random directions like usual. SAC 3000, Gloop asks slowly, why are we winning? Because you're following proper tactical protocols for the first time in this entire war. This feels wrong, Buzz mutters. I haven't had enough time to calculate the psychological impact of success on our ongoing strategic objectives. Lieutenant Buzz, sometimes you have to act before you finish thinking. But what if I make the wrong decision? Then you'll learn something for next time. But what if there isn't a next time? Then it won't matter. Buzz considers this for approximately 30 seconds, which might be a new personal record for him. The mission is a complete success. We save the Proxima colonies, capture 3 Kroleks vessels, and manage to do it without losing a single ship from our fleet. The Council is baffled. How did you achieve such remarkable results? Chairman Thorpe demands during the post-mission briefing. It was the computer, General Vex explains proudly. SAC 3000 provided exceptional tactical guidance. I don't recall authorizing any advanced tactical computers. Emergency protocols, sir, I pipe up from my corner. Subsection 127.3.b clearly states that specialized expertise can be consulted during mission-critical operations. Counselor Yip's jellyfish-like form quivers with suspicion. And where exactly is this SAC 3000 unit located? Distributed Processing Network, I reply smoothly. The system operates through existing communication infrastructure. I want a full investigation into this tactical computer system, Chairman Thorpe declares. Something about this doesn't seem right. Famous last words, Part 2. The investigation lasts exactly until the final confrontation with the Kroleks main fleet. Picture this, the largest space battle in recent galactic history, with hundreds of ships on each side, the fate of entire civilizations hanging in the balance, and our military leadership still trying to figure out which end of their ships the weapons are on. I'm in the command center, supposedly observing in my advisory capacity, while General Vex, Captain Gloop, and Lieutenant Buzz prepare for the most important military operation of their careers. SAC 3000, General Vex calls out, "We're ready for tactical guidance." Roger that, General. Enemy fleet is approaching from Vector 7 Mark 4. Recommend Alpha Strike formation. SAC 3000. Chairman Thorpe's voice suddenly cuts through the communications channel. This is Council Chairman Thorpe. I want to speak directly with your primary processing unit. Oh, crud. A processing unit is currently engaged in real-time tactical calculations. SAC 3000. I'm ordering you to identify yourself immediately. Double crud. Here's the thing about lying to a galactic government. Eventually you run out of technical jargon and have to face the music. Fine, I say. Dropping the voice modulator. This is Commander Jake Reynolds. SAC 3000 was me. I've been coaching these three through every successful mission you've had in the past month. The silence in the command center is deafening. You violated the Pacification Protocol, Chairman Thorpe says finally. I saved your colonies. You were specifically forbidden from participating in military operations. I was specifically forbidden from failing too, but nobody put that in writing. General Vex's feathers are practically falling out from shock. You mean we've been winning because of human tactical advice? Congratulations, General. You just figured out why we got banned in the first place. But the computer said we were following proper peacekeeping protocols. Captain Gloop protests slowly. Those were proper protocols. They're called winning. Lieutenant Buzz is recalculating everything he's ever known about probability. The statistical likelihood of our success rate being this high without human involvement was, oh no, it was essentially zero. And yet you never thought to mention this during your probability calculations. I was focused on calculating failure scenarios. I didn't think to calculate the probability of improbable success. The Krolex fleet is still approaching, by the way. While we're having this philosophical discussion about bureaucracy and statistics, several hundred enemy ships are preparing to destroy everything we're supposed to be protecting. Chairman Thorpe, I say. We can continue this conversation after we prevent galactic conquest, or we can have it while the Krolex are systematically destroying every civilization in this sector. Your choice. The Pacification Protocol clearly states. The Pacification Protocol is about to become irrelevant when there's nobody left to pacify. That's when Councillor Yip does something unexpected. She agrees with me. Perhaps, the jellyfish being suggests tentatively, we could temporarily suspend certain protocol restrictions during this specific emergency situation. Absolutely not, Chairman Thorpe declares. Our rules exist for a reason. Yes, I reply, to prevent competent people from solving problems efficiently. The final battle is exactly what you'd expect. I coach 3 confused aliens through the most important military operation in galactic history, while the entire council argues about proper procedures in the background. We win, obviously. The Krolex fleet retreats, the colonies are saved, and galactic civilization continues to exist. The council's response? A 6-hour debate about whether winning the war constitutes a violation of the Pacification Protocol. The results speak for themselves, Councillor Yip argues. Human military expertise clearly provides superior outcomes. But the psychological impact of decisive victory could destabilize traditional conflict resolution methods. Delegate Fryn squeaks nervously. You mean it might prevent future wars from lasting long enough for you to form committees about them? Chairman Thorpe finally admits what everyone already knows. Perhaps the Pacification Protocol was overly restrictive in certain circumstances. Translation, they need us, and they know it. The official resolution reinstates human military personnel with appropriate oversight and consultation protocols. Which means I get to go back to doing my job. Except now I have to file paperwork explaining why winning battles is strategically sound. Any final observations? Commander Reynolds, Chairman Thorpe asks during the closing session. Just one. Next time you decide that competence is dangerous, maybe check with the people trying to kill you first. I bet they have some interesting opinions about efficient warfare. General Vex, Captain Gloop, and Lieutenant Buzz get promoted for their exceptional leadership during the Krolex crisis. They also get human military advisors permanently assigned to their staffs, which I'm sure they'll appreciate right up until the next time someone starts shooting at them. As for me, I'm back to doing what I do best, solving problems quickly, efficiently, and with just enough sarcasm to make the paperwork interesting. Because apparently that's what makes us dangerous. The galaxy is safe, the bureaucrats are happy, and somewhere out there, The next great threat is probably reading the Galactic Warfare Ethics Manual, trying to figure out how to conquer civilizations in the most procedurally correct way possible. Good luck with that. Commander Jake Reynolds, signing off.